Creation of corneal flap is the most critical step during LASIK surgery. This video is a compilation of challenges faced by different refractive surgeons operating at our center. Our first case is a 26-year-old woman planned for microkeratome LASIK. As the microkeratome head is being positioned, we notice eyelashes coming in the way. We remove the microkeratome and place it again, but still there are eyelashes noticeable. This time we decide to go ahead with the flap creation. We now have an irregular flap where a peripheral wedge of the cornea remains uncut. The central 6 mm of the stromal bed is smooth and regular, so we decide to go ahead with the ablation. As the flap is being reposited back, we can see that the edges are well opposed. This case teaches us to make sure that there is no obstruction such as an eyelash or drape before advancing the microkeratome. In our second case, planned for microkeratome LASIK, the cornea is being marked using a marker pen. As soon as the microkeratome head is retracted back, the surgeon realizes that the flap is missing. The flap is found rolled up inside the microkeratome. After completion of the ablation, the flap is retrieved from the microkeratome head and gently unfolded. It is very important to ensure that the flap is placed in the correct orientation, that is the epithelial side up and the stromal side down. The previously created marks help us in identification of the epithelial side. Now the flap is being rotated to align the marks in order to ensure good apposition and avoid post-operative astigmatism. This case highlights the importance of marking before creating the flap in every microkeratome LASIK surgery. We wait for 2 minutes to ensure that the cornea is dry and place a bandage contact lens at the end of the procedure. The most common risk factor for a free cap is a flat cornea, but this patient had fairly regular keratometry values ranging between 44 and 44.5. In our next case, at the end of flap creation, we notice that the eyeball has turned. Let's analyze our mistakes here. First, the corneal surface is dry. It is important to always cut wet and ablate dry. Secondly, there is suction loss, which enables the patient to rotate his eye, and we land up with a partially cut flap. We decide to abort the surgery and the flap is reposited back. This patient subsequently underwent surface ablation 3 months later with a good visual outcome. By this time, we had immense faith in our femtosecond laser, creating smooth, regular and complication-free flaps. But notice in this case that some cavitation bubbles escape during flap creation. These bubbles have actually entered the anterior chamber through the Schlemm's canal. I am unable to achieve pupil tracking at this point and the flap is reposited back. The patient is asked to wait. After 3 hours, the 3 bubbles have coalesced into one. We achieve pupil tracking and complete the surgery. This phenomena is more commonly seen in corneas with smaller diameters. This patient had a horizontal diameter of 11.2 mm. To conclude, it is important for us to recognize the complication on time, to provide a remedy, and to reschedule the case wherever necessary in order to ensure a good visual outcome after LASIK surgery for all our patients.